10 of them crying. The Bible says in verse 13, and they lifted up their voices and said, Jesus, Master, have mercy on us. Screaming it as loud as they could, hoping that over the crowd they'd hear their voice. Because if Jesus didn't come, if there was a book that could be written about these 10 men's life, it would be entitled Hopeless. Has the devil ever told you that sometimes it's just hopeless? He'd love to make every person feel that way. But something inside of them said, let's cry out together. And they did cry out together. And when he saw them, he said unto them, go show yourselves unto the priest. And it came to pass that as they went, they were cleansed. Hey, wait a minute. It doesn't say he came to them. It doesn't say that he touched them. It doesn't say that he even got near to them. Don't you know that he doesn't have to be standing physically in front of you? All he has to do is speak the word. And when he speaks the word, that is sufficient enough to do the job. And you can't imagine how excited they must have got, because he said, go show yourself to the priest. There's only one reason why a leper would show themselves to the priest, according to the book of Leviticus. Because when they go show themselves to the priest, they couldn't, once they were declared a leper, they couldn't go back until they were in that process where God had healed them. See, leprosy was one of those diseases that if God didn't heal you, you were going to die for sure. But they knew if they were told to go to the priest, that meant they would go show themselves, and the priest could then get them back into society, back into worship, back into fellowship, back with their family. In other words, they're saying if he said go show yourself to the priest, we better take him at his word, because that simply means healing is on our way, because he would not send us to the priest being unclean unless something was going to happen. And as they went, they were cleansed. We will never see anything happen in our life until we take God at his word. Really doesn't matter what I think or what you think or what anybody else's opinion is about things. It's what God says in his word. And if God said it in his word, it really doesn't matter what everyone else rails against it, denies it, rebukes it, says that it's not so. Once that God says it to us, it is so, because his word cannot fail us. And when Jesus said, go show yourself to the priest, they knew by faith, take him at his word. Healing is on the way. All 10 were lepers. All 10 went. But something happened in verse 15. And one of them, when he saw that he was healed, turned back, and with a, what's the next two words? Loud voice, glorified God. One out of 10. With a loud voice. Can I help you out with something? There's a lot of people that they get disturbed. I don't know why it bothers people so much when people get blessed and they have a loud voice and shout to the Lord and shout for the glory of God. Everyone don't have to do that. But now, I don't want to bore you tonight, but when I ran across this blessed my soul. I wondered, what did that mean when he said a loud voice? That just mean a little louder than what he normally speaks? What did that mean? When I looked up the word, the loud voice, in the Greek, the word loud means megas. And the word voice means phone. Do you know what you get when you get megas and phone together? We have a word in the English that means exact same thing. It means megaphone. In other words, he raised his voice till it sounded like he was a megaphone. I mean, God had done for him what nobody else could do. Why shouldn't he raise his voice and raise his voice loud? So when someone comes along and says, you don't have to shout like that, you don't have to be loud, I know I don't have to. I want to, because he did for me what nobody else could do for me. So why not lift my voice and lift a loud voice in praise to God and thank him for what he's done? He turned back, and verse 16, he fell down on his face at his feet, giving him thanks. There it is again, for he was a Samaritan. He wasn't worthy.